What up,
Whoa.
folks? How's everybody doing out there?
Good.
Good, yeah. Same here. Us two, us three, four, five, whoever. So, hey, folks, gotta let you know. If you don't know Tyler Foley, you should.
You really should.
He is a #1 best-selling author. I love the name of this book. You ready? Are you ready?
I've been ready for a while.
The Power to Speak Naked.
Yes.
I mean, how can you not like The Power to Speak Naked?
Now, is that in certain areas that you can do that, or like?
Yeah, it takes a lot of licensing and permitting, but you can pretty much do it on any stage you own.
Oh, there you go.
I love it. I love it. Tyler's also an actor. He's been in quite a few different shows, from TV series to TV movies to movies. I think my favorite, though, has to be Freddy Vs. Jason.
Well, of course, it's everybody's favorite.
Oh, yes. You gotta love it. So how did you get into acting?
Really young, actually. 6 years old, I got my first taste of the theater, and then was able to get into it professionally around 7. The nice thing is I know it's hard to tell over a Zoom screen, but I am a large and impressive figure at 5'7" and 135 pounds.
Whoa.
So,
Wow.
Look out, folks. Here he comes.
I've always been
on the stage.
That too.
Yeah.
How close?
Yeah. I've always been a wee tiny man. That's one of the reasons why I like being in film and television so much, is it's the rare chance where I get to look big on screen. So, but yeah, being tiny, I was able to play Tiny Tim and various other young roles. You know, at 7, I probably looked 5. And it's always served me. Even now, I'm 42. I still am auditioning for, like mid-20s. So that's, nice. I moisturize a lot to try and
Resurrection in 90210.
Fresh glow. Exactly.
Nice. I love it. Now, The Power to Speak Naked. I mean, you are a keynote speaker, and I want to know where this came from, where this thought process came from.
And why is it mostly a picture book?
Well, it's so that guys like you and me can read it.
Right on. Tell us about the book. I'm excited to hear.
Well, so the book actually came about really randomly, to be honest. Growing up acting, I did that for years and years and years. I've always been comfortable on stage, loved a crowd. My favorite thing on the planet is to hear applause. Like, nothing feels better than getting a standing ovation. And I've kind of sought that high most of my life. But there was a time where I had gotten really complacent, really jaded with the industry. It'd become a job. Like, one of the things about growing up in theater and film and television is it's fun. You get to dress up and play and be different people and meet really cool people. I had the honor and privilege when I was performing to have William H. Macy come into my trailer and jam with me and my friends. He was learning to play the guitar. He's like, "Do you mind if I play the guitar with you guys?" I was like, "Bill, come on in." Yeah. Right. So I've gotten to do some really cool things, meet some really cool people, be involved in some really fun projects. But at one point it became just a job. So I stopped acting, went back to school, got an engineering discipline, started my own business. Business failed, but I had a lot of this training where I started doing safety work and training, being a safety trainer, because again, I have this flair for performance and this ability to engage people and, at least give material in a way that doesn't make you want to feel like you're getting a lobotomy. So I became a really good safety trainer, and a lot of people would ask, "How do you do it? How do you do it?" I'd be like, "It's easy. You just go XYZ." And the next people would come, "How do you do it?" "It's easy. You do XYZ." Started saying XYZ enough that I was like, you know what? This is getting exhausting, telling you people how to do this over and over and over again, because the advice doesn't change. So I'll just write it down and just give it to you. And the next thing I knew, I had a #1 best-selling book. And really, honestly, that's how it went.
That's pretty sweet. That's awesome. Because let's be honest, safety is not the most entertaining topic, but it sounds like you were able to suck people in to have fun, to enjoy what they're doing there instead of falling asleep all the time. Let's be up.
Well, because the secret is you don't give them the opportunity to fall asleep by making them give the presentation instead of you. And right, like I know this much about this much. My job as a speaker is to facilitate a conversation. And that's how I've approached speaking for my entire life. That's, I mean, even in stage and theater, yes, I'm delivering a play, and yeah, you're probably going to sit there and I'm going to be up here and I'm going to do the thing. But at some point, I want you to engage with me. I want you to laugh. I want you to cry. I want you to feel something. I want you to applaud, right? Those are all ways that we get our audience to engage. And when you're giving any kind of presentation, whether it's safety or in a boardroom or just, talking with your spouse, half the secret is not to be talking, but to be listening. And so the only way that you can listen and provide good content to your audience is to ask them the questions and get them engaged. So most of my tips and tricks that come from the book and what I've told people for the last decade now is if you're given an hour to speak, you only need to fill 20 minutes. The rest of that should be filled by your audience.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I absolutely. I always have a saying where your mom and dad gave you 2 of these and 1 of these for a reason, right?
Do you teach kind of like what do you do before you go on stage too? Because like, the butterflies, right? Is there is there something that you do?
Stage fright?
Yeah, but I'm more talking about like, does he have a preparation that kind of helps him get ready to go on stage so he gets past that, or he teaches other people? Because everybody has a different way they do things, but there might be a little more set guideline that he could use that you could fill your own things into.
It's funny that you mention it because I run a private training group. It's free on Facebook called Endless Stages. And every Tuesday we come on and we do a live presentation. I take 20 minutes and I train whatever topic people want to talk about. Today's, like this week's Tuesday training tip is exactly that: how to put together a pre-talk routine and how to overcome nerves, because it is probably the most common thing. And to answer your question, yes, I do have a pre-talk routine that I do consistently. That is also, I can adapt it and amend it. So like sometimes you only have 8 minutes to prep. So these are my must-haves and these are my would be nice to do's when it comes to pre-talk routine. But yes, we train that regularly. Most of what it comes down to is mental prep work. Like where do I feel I am, and real self-awareness, not this frou-frou, how are you feeling in this moment? No. Like, let's really talk some honesty. Like, how do you feel in your day to day? Because that's probably how you're going to feel just before you go on stage. And if you're feeling this nervousness and anxiety, what is the reason behind it? And a lot of people will tell you it's because they're afraid to speak in public. And I will tell you right now, it's complete and utter BS. Nobody's afraid to speak in public, or you'd never be able to order food at a restaurant.
Right.
If you've been to a restaurant and you ordered food, you spoke in public. If you didn't know who your server was, you spoke to a complete stranger. So this notion that I'm afraid to speak in public, I'm afraid to speak to strangers, I'm afraid to ask for what I want, bunk. If you were able to go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac, you did all 3 of those things. So stop saying that you're afraid to speak in public. The reality is you're probably afraid of public judgment. And so let's overcome that. And we spend a great deal of time training that.
I like it. Sorry, I have a bunch of questions here and I have my cheat sheet. So I'm kind of marking them off as we go and all that good stuff.
Just giving the secrets right out.
I know.
You just don't. I have
It's
questions on my paper.
It's not a bad thing. I talk about it in my book. As long as you're not running off of a script, then you can guide. And because here's perfect learning opportunity, right?
Right.
Like I say a thing, you go, I take it off here, and you're like, well, that wasn't on the sheet. So now we have to come back. But there could be a thing that's on the sheet. So now we have a moment to regroup, discuss, and come back to it.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you. That's usually what I do with my questions because I'm all over the place. You can ask him. Farleyism. You look up Farleyism, you see me.
Chris Farley.
Yeah.
On Saturday Night Live, The Farley Show.
I know exactly who you're talking about. First of all, Chris Farley was a gem, and it's a shame that he isn't with us to this day. I had the extreme honor and pleasure to get to work with his brother on a TV series called Together.
Wow.
And I will tell you, as funny as Chris was, Kevin's even double that. And it's a shame to me that man isn't more well known. And I think it's because he had a great reverence and a love for his brother, and I don't think he wants to overshadow that. Like, I think he wants to be his own thing. The thing is he's funny, and he's funny the same way that Chris was. And so I think that that has really hindered his career. But I'm telling you, man, I would have loved to have known Chris, and I am blessed that I got to meet Kevin and work with him.
What we got out of that is it's okay, Chris.
Thanks.
You can be you.
You can be you now.
Bonus. All right.
All right, what's next on your list?
The next note that I have, anyway, is you talk about engaging and re-engaging in your profile. I want to know what your thought process is in engaging and re-engaging with your guests, your so on and so forth.
Well, like anything, prevention is better than a cure. So if you want to not have to re-engage your audience, which is a signal that you've lost them, be engaging enough that you don't lose them to begin with. So a lot of the things that we've already discussed a couple of those, serve your audience, get them involved. If you've got an hour, only talk for 20 minutes to a half an hour. That way you're asking them questions, they're guiding the content. If they're guiding the content, they're likely going to be more engaged. You have a conversation with your audience, and you'll never lose them to begin with. Remember that you can't serve everybody, right? The fastest way to have everybody tune out is to try to talk to everybody. Try to talk to one person and everybody will tune in. So know exactly who you're talking to, when you're talking to them, and why you're talking to them. Have a conversation with one person, and the flies on the wall will start to pay attention to why you're having that conversation, and then move it around. My favorite thing to do is turn to your partner and tell them what you just learned, because it gives me a chance to step back, check my notes, right? Yep. Check my notes, see where I'm at, make sure that I'm on board. And then that gives them an opportunity to say what had impact with them. And the thing in doing that is now they are actively having to think back to what resonated with me. Why did it resonate with me? Somebody else shares what resonated with them. So you have two different points of reinforcement of your message. And then if you do one of those bubble up things where you're like, okay, now so who wants to share something? Now you have a third reinforcement point of your topics. They feel engaged, and you haven't had to talk for 66% of the talk. So I love that. Turn to a friend and share. And I do that all the time.
Teach me.
Well, so there you go, Rob. Why don't you tell Chris how you feel about what you just learned?
I appreciate that. Huh? That's the way to do it, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, so a question that I like to ask, it's kind of a sports analogy that we use, or I've used in years, and it's the first step. And I kind of want to give you a little background in regards to it. The first step, usually I can see what's going to happen with a ball player within that first step to know if it's going to be a positive play or a negative play. For you giving advice to people, what would be your first step?
The first step is twofold. So it's not a first step, they're in conjunction. You can't do one without the other. The first thing to remember is that you have a message. If you weren't the authority, they would have asked somebody else to speak. So anytime you're given an opportunity to speak, it's because you are the authority. We don't ask second best to do anything, we ask first. So if I've asked you to give a presentation, nobody else could do it as good as you can. So you are the authority. You have to know that. And then the second thing in conjunction with that is the audience is on your side. We never go to a presentation and go, man, I hope this sucks. Right?
True.
You don't. We don't. Even if you go to a movie, it's a classic example. You hear about a movie, you see the trailer, and you're like, oh, I'd kind of like to see that. And then just before the movie comes out, a whole bunch of critical panning comes, right? 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. And you're like, oh, really? It can't be that bad. The trailer was so cool. And then a couple of your friends come and Rob, you tell Chris, and you're like, yeah, that was brutal. Do not waste. That's a waste of $20 now. Because movie tickets are not cheap anymore. It's a $25 movie ticket. Why? I don't care that my seat reclines or that you bring me food to my seat. A ticket to a movie theater should be $8. That's how much a movie ticket should be. But I'll get off that high horse. So you spend your $25 obnoxiously. You get your $50 popcorn. You sit in your seat, and Chris is thinking to himself, there's no way Rob was right. This movie had a wicked trailer, and I'm going to watch this thing. right? Because in your head, you're like, no, I want to be entertained. This has got to be good. And then at the end of it, you're like, oh, that was a waste of $75. And now my tummy hurts from all this popcorn, right? But going into it, you still had that expectation that it would be good, despite everybody else telling you no. And when you are a speaker or presenter, you don't have a trailer. Nobody knows what you're going to say. They have no clue. You are a blank slate to them. If they didn't want to be there, they wouldn't. We are human beings with free will and free choice, and we choose what's best for us. Even if it's a thing that your boss said you had to attend to, right? Rob, you've been asked to give the sales quarter, last quarter sales statistics. Chris, you don't want to come? Oh, I gotta do that swabby thing this now. I've got a tickle in my throat, and sorry, Rob, I won't be able to make it, because you will find a reason not to go, right? The reality is, even if you are being forced to, you have an employer, this isn't a mandatory attendance event, and you're passively indifferent to the message, that's all. You're just passively indifferent. You go there going, oh, please don't be a waste of my time. Please be good for me, right? We show up wanting it to be good. So the first step is knowing that you are the authority, or you wouldn't have been asked to be there, and your audience is on your side. They want you to succeed. So all you have to do is deliver. You combine that with the engagement strategies of letting your audience lead your presentation. Remember, as a presenter, you are a facilitator of a conversation, not a dictator of information.
Yeah.
So ask your audience, how do they feel? How does this impact them? Let me tell you how I feel about these numbers. Do you feel the same? Have that dialogue, have that discourse. Don't be afraid of conflict, right? Guide the conversation, correct the information that needs to be, support the information that supports your point, and call it a day.
So let me tell you what I learned in this, Chris.
Yes. What did you learn?
He's an actor.
Yes.
He thinks a movie should be $8,
Yes.
which he admits that all actors are overpaid. You heard it here first.
It's a true story. Actually, I don't think all actors are overpaid. In fact, I think it's sad how grossly underpaid the 90% of the actors are. Most actors do not earn a living wage. One of the things that I was most lucky to do is, from the time I was 17 to the time that I was 25, was to entirely live on my own, completely and totally sustaining myself on the craft of performance, and in Vancouver, which is the most expensive city in Canada to live. So I was blessed, but not a lot of people have the ability to say that, and it's even worse down in Hollywood. So
right, yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
Hey, let's find out. Let's talk about, first of all, you have the Tuesdays on YouTube, you said, right? The free
on Facebook. So in our free Facebook
how do we find you on Facebook for those?
Yeah, what time, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, Amazon, the book, stuff like that. Let's talk about all that stuff.
So let's get the plugs in. So the first thing to do is to go to SeanTylerFoley.com, and Sean is spelled the proper Irish way, SeanTylerFoley. But Tyler, why do you go by Sean Tyler? It's because it's my professional name. My father passed away when I was 6 years old. He wanted to be Tyler. So mom won the Sean portion, right? Because moms always win.
Right.
And so it was Sean Tyler. But then when my father passed away, to honor him, I've always gone by my middle name, Tyler, because that's what he wanted. And so when your dad dies, mom's opinion gets defaulted to your deceased father. And so I've always gone by Tyler, but professionally it's Sean Tyler. So if anybody wants information, SeanTylerFoley.com, Sean spelled the proper Irish way, SEAN. And there you can find a link to Endless Stages, which is our free Facebook group. And we come and do, like I said, the live training every Tuesday. We also have a members Monday spotlight, where anybody who's in the group who wants to have a platform, who has something to discuss, has the ability to do that. We have Saturdays, we brag about all of our accomplishments. So our success Saturdays, what are you doing in the group? Who's doing what? I just booked 2 keynote presentations for May 5th and the end of May, I think May 27th. So I put up in my success ones. We've had one of our members, Charlene Madden, has been the #1 ranked guest on Podmatch, where we had the joy and privilege of meeting. It's how I got to be on What Up, because we met on Podmatch, and I actually trained Charlene how to get to the top. And we've had other members, Andrea Perot, Petro, Michael Harris is on there, a couple of other members in our group. So we celebrate our successes. So if anybody wants, the link is on the website.
Yep.
And if you go through the website process, you actually sign up instead of like just backdooring in through Facebook, because you can search endless stages and you can just click on.
Right.
But if you come through the website, you know, and particularly if you tell me that you came through What Up, we give a whole bunch of freebies away with that. So you get a copy of The Power to Speak Naked, the PDF version of it. We give you access to all of the training videos that are on our private YouTube page. All of those things we give as bonuses if they come through the website. And then if you want to get a copy of The Power to Speak Naked, you're like, no, this virtual stuff is bunk. I want a physical copy. I want to be able to hold that thing in my hand. I want to see, I want to see the naked dude on the cover.
All the pop-up pictures too.
Pop-up pictures. Well, naturally, because it needs to speak to the common denominator in the room here. So we want to make sure that we've made it accessible to everybody. But if you want to get a hard copy of it, you can get it anywhere. So it is available in bookstores. My publisher, Morgan James, did a fantastic job of getting a physical copy into bookstores. If you want to get it online, if you're in the United States, I would strongly encourage anybody who is in the US, regardless of if it's The Power to Speak Naked or any other book that you want to get, if you're trying to get literary material, go to bookshop.org.
Okay.
And if you go to bookshop.org, you can typically get your reading material for slightly cheaper than what you'd get it at retail. For example, my book goes for $17.95 in stores, but on bookshop.org, I believe it's around $16.50. Two things with that. You're getting it cheaper. Bookshop.org takes a percentage of the proceeds and puts it into a pooled fund that local retailers, local bookstores can go and apply to. I believe they've raised $16 million so far. Wow. And that's for relief for bookstores who are very likely struggling. Plus, when you order through bookshop.org, they will connect you with your local book retailer. So your book is actually coming from your local book retailer, not from some warehouse that Jeff Bezos controls. So you're supporting your local retailer two ways. You're getting the book cheaper, and you're still having the convenience of the online shopping and getting it coming straight to your door. The difference is it doesn't come to you in a drone controlled by a man who flies to space in a phallic rocket. Yeah. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. Are you okay? Chris is done.
Chris is done. The imagery was there.
Oh, God, yeah.
As I was on my tirade, the joke caught up.
That was speaking naked and ending with,
oh my God.
Power and authority right there.
Great job.
The organism.
That was awesome. You're great. Sean, Tyler.
See you all later.
He's out.
Appreciate having you on. You're awesome. We're definitely going to look up to you in the future as well. And I'm going to check out a lot of that stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no. And again, it's my gift to you, Rob. It's my gift to you, Chris. But it's only my gift to your listeners if they give What Up a 5-star review. So I want them to hit pause right now on whatever device they're listening to this on. If it's on, the internets or whatever, your little, there's the big internets with the clicky, and then there's the little internets with the touchy. Whichever one they're on this, I want them to hit pause, give you a 5-star review, let you know what episode they liked, like what is the content that they're enjoying. Do they really enjoy the Farleyisms? Let us know how we're doing. And then if they give a 5-star review, they can come through the website, and I'll be more than happy to give them any and all of those freebies.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's it.
Definitely.
I think everybody have a Bezos day.
Have a Bezos day.
You're done. Thanks a lot. We'll talk with you soon.
Have a great day and a better tomorrow, folks.
What up?